The skies above New Chicago were no longer blue. For years, they had been stained and ashen gray, streaked with the faint green glow of alien energy fields that blanketed the planet like a suffocating shroud. The war had begun without warning, a sudden incursion from beyond the stars led by beings humanity could barely comprehend. They called themselves the Vorthak, towering insectoid creatures whose exoskeletons shimmered like polished obsidian under their artificial suns. But what made them truly terrifying was not their appearance. It was their strategy. The Vorthak didn't come in waves of fire and fury, nor did they seek immediate domination through sheer force. Instead, they waged a war of attrition, a slow, calculated campaign designed to wear down the human race until surrender became inevitable. Their weapons weren't just lasers or bombs, they attacked infrastructure, poisoned ecosystems, and disrupted communication networks, leaving billions stranded and desperate. It was psychological warfare at its most brutal, a relentless assault on hope itself, but humanity refused to break. In the ruins of what was once downtown Detroit, Captain Elena Vasquez stood atop the remains of a crumbling skyscraper, her rifle slung over one shoulder. Below her, makeshift shelters sprawled across the streets, patched together from scrap metal and tattered tarps. Fires burned in oil drums scattered throughout the camp, casting flickering shadows against walls riddled with bullet holes and claw marks. This was Resistance Sector 17, one of the last bastions of organized human defiance. Elena adjusted the scarf around her neck, pulling it tighter against the biting wind. Her breath came out in white puffs, but she barely noticed. She scanned the horizon, her sharp eyes catching every detail. The distant hum of Vorthak drones patrolling the skies, the faint glimmer of their orbital platforms hovering high above. The aliens always watched, always waited. They knew time was on their side. "They're testing us again," said a voice behind her. Lieutenant Marcus Kane emerged from the stairwell, his boots crunching against loose debris. He carried a datapad in one hand, its screen flashing with unreadable symbols. "Intercepted another transmission. Looks like they're planning another raid." Elena turned to face him, her expression grim. "When aren't they planning something? These bastards never stop." Marcus nodded grimly. "True enough, but this time feels different. The coordinates they're targeting, they're hitting supply lines. If they cut us off, we'll be starving within weeks." Elena clenched her fists. Starvation was already a daily reality for many in the Resistance. Food supplies were dwindling, and scavenging teams risked their lives every day just to bring back scraps. The Vorthak knew exactly how to exploit humanity's weaknesses, striking where it hurt the most. Yet despite the odds, people kept fighting. They had no other choice. "We can't let them win," Elena said firmly. "Not here, not now." That night, the Resistance gathered in the old subway tunnels beneath the city. Candles and battery-powered lanterns cast flickering light over the faces of men and women who had lost everything. Homes, families, futures, but still clung to the fragile thread of hope. At the center of the room stood Dr. Annika Patel, a former astrophysicist turned strategist. Her dark hair was streaked with gray, and her hands trembled slightly as she unfolded a map of the region. "The Vorthak are predictable," she began, her voice steady despite the exhaustion etched into her features. "They rely on fear and deprivation to break us, but we've learned their patterns. We know how they think." She pointed to a cluster of red dots on the map. "These are their primary targets: food depots, water purification plants, medical facilities. They want to strip away our ability to survive. But if we strike first, if we disrupt their operations, we can buy ourselves more time." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Time was the most precious commodity they had left. Every day mattered. Every hour counted. "How do you propose we do that?" asked a young soldier named Ryan, his voice tinged with skepticism. "We're outnumbered, outgunned, and running on fumes. What chance do we really have?" Annika locked eyes with him, her gaze unwavering. We have something they don't understand, something they'll never be able to replicate. What's that? Ryan pressed. Humanity, Elena interjected, stepping forward. We adapt, we endure, and when all else fails, we fight with everything we've got. The room fell silent, the weight of her words sinking in. These people had seen horrors no one should ever have to witness. They had buried friends and loved ones, faced unimaginable losses, and yet they remained standing. Because deep down, they knew giving up wasn't an option. 2 days later, the resistance launched its counterattack. Under the cover of darkness, small teams infiltrated key Vorthak installations, planting explosives and sabotaging critical systems. The aliens responded swiftly, deploying swarms of drones and ground units to quell the uprising. But the humans fought with a ferocity born of desperation, using guerrilla tactics and intimate knowledge of the terrain to outmaneuver their enemies. Elena led one such team, her heart pounding as she crept through the wreckage of an abandoned factory. Ahead, a massive Vorthak transport ship loomed, its sleek hull gleaming ominously in the moonlight. Inside, crates of supplies intended for the alien forces sat stacked neatly, ready to be distributed across occupied territories. "This is it," she whispered into her comms unit. "Move in quietly. We only get one shot." Her team moved like ghosts, slipping past patrols and disabling security systems with practiced precision. When the charges were set, Elena gave the signal, and the building erupted in a deafening explosion. Flames licked the night sky, illuminating the chaos below as Vorthak reinforcements scrambled to respond. But the resistance didn't stop there. Across the globe, similar attacks unfolded simultaneously, coordinated through encrypted channels and fueled by sheer determination. The Vorthak, caught off guard by the scale and audacity of the assault, struggled to regain control. Weeks passed, and though the resistance suffered heavy losses, their efforts bore fruit. Supply chains were disrupted, alien morale wavered, and cracks began to form in the invaders' seemingly impenetrable facade. Word spread among the scattered remnants of humanity, igniting a spark of rebellion that refused to be extinguished. Back in Sector 17, Elena addressed her comrades once more, her voice ringing with conviction. "This isn't just about survival anymore. It's about proving that we're still here, that we won't go quietly into the night. The Vorthak may have technology, but we have something stronger. The unbreakable spirit of humanity." As cheers erupted around her, Elena felt a surge of pride and resolve. The war was far from over, but for the first time in years, there was a glimmer of hope. Against all odds, humanity had found a way to fight back, and the Vorthak would soon learn that even the mightiest empires could fall to the indomitable will of those who refused to surrender.